So today we're going to be talking about sibling rivalry, its causes and its solutions. In fact, we're going to be talking about everything that has to do with sibling rivalry Hello everyone, this is Chichi Dagogo Ariso, aka the storybook lady as I like to call myself, aka Blossomskidscorner, and we are here again. So I want to welcome everybody. If this is your first time of watching this video, please give this video a thumbs up, tap the subscribe button, it doesn't cost anything, and also don't forget to turn on the post notification bell on so that you can get more videos of my amazing content. I'm the children's advocate, as I like to call myself. I talk about positive parenting, intentional parenting, and just basically tips on how to make each and every one of us better parents for our children. Why do I do this? I want us to groom a lovely set of children so that our children, who are the youth and the future of tomorrow, will become better people in life. So today we're going to be talking about sibling rivalry, its causes and its solutions. In fact, we're going to be talking about everything that has to do with sibling rivalry, because I know as parents, for those of us that have more than 2 children, our children always have issues. So we need to know what the definition of sibling rivalry is, the causes, the examples, conflict resolution, harmony, and everything that we need to know about sibling rivalry. You know, when you have more than 2 children, you're actually dealing with human beings with different personalities and temperaments. So definitely there must be competition amongst them or between them. There must be jealousy, there must be resentment, there must be fights. But as a parent, how do you sow seeds of peace? How do you broker peace and oneness and make your children behave more like besties than mortal enemies? So what is sibling rivalry? Well, let's define sibling rivalry. It is an ongoing conflict between children raised in the same family. Now, this could be blood-related siblings, step-siblings, or adopted or foster siblings. And it could take different forms. It could take the form of physical or verbal fighting, name calling, being in constant competition for your parents' attention, and voiced feelings of envy. What causes sibling rivalry? Because a lot of times there could be issues, underlying issues that cause sibling rivalry, and we need to know that as parents. So mainly what causes sibling rivalry is major life challenges: moving into a new home, changing school, losing some of their friends, expecting a new baby, getting a divorce. You know, these are very penitent issues. They are very dicey issues that we as parents need to handle very systematically. And if we don't take it out on these children individually, then they also take out the frustration of this move, of these different changes, on their younger ones, who are their next targets. Secondly, ages and stages. What do I mean by ages and stages? You don't expect an 8-year-old to behave or to like the kind of things a 4-year-old will like. They actually have different developmental stages at different ages, and because of it, there's always going to be that tension, there's always going to be that rush amongst them, and you as a parent, you need to know how to handle that issue among the children. Thirdly, again, there's going to be jealousy. Jealousy is also another one thing also that causes sibling rivalry. Your younger one maybe could be a lot better than the older one, and there could be that there could be that jealousy. It's very much allowed. Individuality. I have a video on how to harness your child's individuality. Each child is not just a child, but an individual human being who has his own likes and his own wants. Sometimes a child could maybe, like for me growing up, I'm the first in my family, but I was the shortest. My youngest sister, the last of us, was way taller than me and the other ones, and at a point it became a norm in my house. I used to be addressed as the short woman. So that could actually, if it wasn't handled properly, it could actually affect my self-esteem, because I was always termed as the short girl. I was always the oh, please shift for her, you know, she doesn't see, you know, she's short. You know, so those are the kind of things that parents also do. If you don't understand your children's individuality, or understand the fact that they are different and they should be treated differently, that could also spark conflict among them. Then also, for we the parents, when these children do not see conflict resolution skills amongst us, then they also model us, because when they see that we quarrel, you and your husband, you quarrel, you don't know how to resolve issues amicably. It's either one person is hitting the other person, or one person is calling the other person foul names, or using foul language on the other partner. The children just feel that that's a norm, and they model that lifestyle. In fact, I also have a video on parenting conflicts and what it does to the children. When you fight in front of your children, you should know how it affects the children. Finally, we have family dynamics. Sometimes you could have a child who has special needs, who needs special kind of attention, and you have to know how to be able to communicate with the other children to let them know that this sibling of theirs needs special attention, even from them also. So our ability to be able to harness all these issues that cause conflicts would lead to having better children, or having rebels as children. Before you start blaming yourself for the kind of life choices you made, and maybe thinking it was your choices, your kind of life choices, that caused your children to have conflicts between another, I want to put it to you that siblings are going to fight whether you are there or not, with or without your interference. There must be conflict among siblings, but the kind of choices we make as parents can either make these children become always in competition with each other, or make them become arch enemies, or help them to resolve issues properly. What do I mean? There are certain parental behaviors that can exasperate sibling rivalry, and if we do some of these things knowingly or unknowingly, we could really be setting our children up against themselves and also against ourselves. What do I mean by that? Constantly praising one child and criticizing another, that is a major red flag for sibling rivalry, because the other child that is being criticized will continue to see him or herself as not getting the favor, and then there will always be that constant competition. Putting your children against one another in competition, you always want to make sure, I want this person to finish first, who did this first, who did that first. Once you try to always do that, your children will always be in fight. Everything about them becomes a competition. Even who wakes up first becomes a competition, and it could really lead to something sour if not managed properly. Assigning specific roles, like I said, when I was growing up, I used to be called the short woman. My shoe size was always small, I was fat, and I was short. So if it wasn't handled properly, that could have really set me back, because oh, you are always short, oh, you have to do this, you're the every time. I think almost every point in time I was always saying, oh, she's the short girl. But my parents were able to handle it well, and I was able to grow beyond that stage. Yes, the height is still there. I haven't grown much taller. They are still taller than I am, but that really doesn't change, or didn't change, who I am. And then finally, for we the parents, clearly pay more attention to one child's needs and interests. Stop playing favoritism. A lot of parents do that without even knowing that they are pitching their children as enemies against each other. Stop playing favoritism over your children. Stop trying to favor this person because, oh, once a child does well, he's the best child in the family, he's the most wonderful child you've ever seen. Stop doing that, moms and dads. That is a major cause of sibling rivalry. And do you know that if sibling rivalry is not nipped in the bud, if it's not managed early and properly, it could transgend even to the second or the third generation. I know what I'm saying for sure. So please, parents, we need to learn how to handle these things and handle it properly. So as parents, how do we handle the fights? Definitely there must be fights. So how do we handle the fights? Now, according to Numerous, when a fight breaks out between your children, you should try to stay out of it as much as possible. Your kids will not learn how to negotiate their own conflicts if you're always interfering or trying to play peacemaker. Sometimes when they're fighting, just sit down and watch them fight. Do you know, let me tell you something. When two children fight, especially two boys, or a boy and a girl, of maybe close age, maybe a year and a half or two years apart, allow them to fight so that the weaker one knows that this person is stronger than I am, and trust me, that child will never again attempt at fighting his elder brother, because he knows that his elder brother is going to hit him or his elder brother is going to wound him. So sometimes just allow them fight, allow them to fight until they get tired. Only when you should interfere is when you feel maybe things are getting out of hand, or maybe you feel somebody is going to get hurt, or they are going to damage valuable property. Then you should get into it. But allow them to fight so that they too on their own will learn how to handle their own conflicts without your interference. Secondly, they have to learn from you how to manage their conflicts. Sometimes when they are quarreling, they'll be like, okay, if mommy and daddy were here, by now they would have stopped quarreling. All right? So we also need to teach them from our behavior. They need to learn from us. They need to understand how to resolve their own issues without involving a third party. Because once you teach them that, then they understand that, okay, we don't need mommy or daddy to really settle this thing. Mommy, don't worry, we're good, we're fine. Okay? Now, I'm going to give us some model examples of how you should handle sibling rivalry. First of all, let's say the younger one and the older one are fighting. Maybe an elder brother and a younger brother are fighting. Maybe a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old are fighting. What you should do, you should stop the fights, call the elder one and say, you know what? Whether you beat your brother from now to tomorrow, he's a part of this family. So the earlier you take up the responsibility of looking after him and not beating him up and not always being judgmental about his actions, because at a point in time you were also in his shoes. You were also 3 years old and you even did worse than he did. If you do that, the elder one will now know that, okay, I actually did these things and I wasn't beaten up by my parents, so why should I beat up my younger one? I should be the one to take care of my younger one. Once you make them understand that fact, they assume that elder responsibility almost immediately. Even when the younger one makes a mistake, they now know that it's in their position to correct that one instead of fighting or beating him up, right? Secondly, let's say we have two children of close ages, maybe a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old, or like my children, an 8-year-old girl and a 6-year-old boy. And then there's a toy, maybe like there's a blue train, and the 6-year-old wants the blue train, the 8-year-old wants the blue train, and they are both fighting and struggling and quarreling and you know, arguing about it. So what should you do? Just take that train, remove that thing that seems to be the problem, that common thing that they are having issues about or they're having a conflict about. Just take it out of the picture. Do you know what will happen? They would actually go and look for some other thing that would now take their attention away from that train. So that's another way you can actually resolve issues amongst the children. And then thirdly, the third model example I want to give us is, like for my kids, my 8-year-old is a girl and she likes to watch girly cartoons. She likes to watch Disney Channel, while the 6-year-old is a boy and he likes to watch Cartoon Network. And there's just one TV. So what happens? The older one takes precedence. She watches her own channel first, and then after her own program is done, they switch to the younger one. So they have grown to the point where they now understand, okay, my program is first, then your program, or if possible, you set yours on a reminder so that we know what time your own is. But they will be able to resolve their issues without you once you set those standards and make them understand that, okay, if you're crying or you're quarreling about wanting to watch your own program when it's not your turn, you lose a turn. So you have to make your children understand this early so that it's easy for you for them to resolve their issues whether you're there or not. Now, there are also some little other examples, like avoid taking sides unless maybe you witness the child hurting the other one without provocation. But in the course of a fight, as long as both of them are fighting, they both have to take a share of the blame. Encourage a solution that is beneficial to everyone, even if it includes some compromise. Somebody has to bend for the other person. Set limits. No name calling, no physical contact. You don't use foul language, okay? As long as as the parent, I don't use foul language, so you shouldn't use foul language on your younger one. Teach them empathy. Encourage your children to put themselves in the other person's shoes. Like for my children, I taught them something. So I call it rule number 1. And the rule number 1 says, do unto others what you want them to do unto you. So whenever they're having an issue, I'm like, okay guys, what is rule number 1? And once they recite rule number 1, everybody goes their separate ways, because I don't want you to do what you're doing to me, right? So I shouldn't do it to you. So make them understand all these things early. Avoid playing favorites. Avoid playing favorites. Don't want to say, oh, this is my favorite baby. Don't do that. Once you do that, you're pitching your children against themselves. And finally, how do we facilitate harmony amongst children? Even if you didn't cause the sibling rivalry among the children, you may be making it worse. But there are other ways that you can actually promote love and unity in the house. You can't stop them from fighting, but there are parenting strategies that can help you reduce the way your children fight. Forget about fairness, right? Oh, mom, it's not fair. I ought to have this, or I ought to have that. No, every child is different, and we as parents, we should learn to parent those children differently. We should learn to understand that each child has a different level of attention, and so we should know how to ration our love, our responsibility towards these children differently. You don't treat the way you treat A the way you treat B, unless if you feel that that parenting skill can work out for everybody. But you have to understand your children's personalities and know how to follow them up. My first daughter cries easily. Every little thing makes her cry. So I've learned to understand that, okay, I know that when you shout at her or when you tell her to give up some other thing for her younger one, it makes her cry. So as soon as I do that, I pull her to me and say, okay, do you know what? I'm going to do this for you. Because you did this, because you forfeited this for your younger one, I'm going to do that for you. So you have to understand the dynamics in the lives of these children and know how to follow them up as well. Secondly, prioritize one-on-one time. Let every child have a special time for you. It might not be so easy, but you have to learn how to do it. Okay? Then promote a team culture in your family. Let there be that thing of working together as a team to achieve a common goal. Once you do that, members of the family tend to get along better. Give everyone some space, right? Give everyone some space. Especially if they share a bedroom together, allow them to stay in their room to play. Don't always keep interfering in what they do. Even if you hear them shouting, even if you hear their voices being raised, just act like you didn't hear them. Trust me, they would be fine. Finally, parents, introduce a family meeting or introduce the family meeting system. Introduce a situation whereby, okay, everybody comes together, right? Okay, does anybody have anything in mind? Is there anything, then does anybody have anything to say, right? That way, everybody airs their views. Both mom, dad, uncle, auntie, as many people as live with you in the house. Everybody should have an opportunity to air their views. That way, conflicts would be resolved early than for it to get to the point where it can no longer be managed. So finally, parents, this is all we have today on sibling conflict. I hope we have learned a thing or two in this video. Don't forget to give this video a double thumbs up if you liked what you heard. I'm going to summarize this video in the description box, and then please turn on the post notification bell on, subscribe, like, and share. Once again, this is Chichi Dagogo Wariso, aka the Storybook Lady, as I like to call myself, and I am signing out.